So let's look at the anatomy of a mitochondria so you can understand a little bit more and look at where these processes actually take place. So first of all, the mitochondria has an outer membrane. It's got a membrane on the inside, so it's got an inner membrane. And it's got space in between, so that's called the intermembrane space. Wow, again, scientists really trying to mess you up on those terms, right? But that inner membrane has folds in it, and those folds are called cristae, and they actually kind of add more surface area for more of the reactions to happen. It just allows us to produce more power more efficiently. They're called cristae whenever the dude that would discover this, I don't remember his name, was looking at in the mitochondria. He could see these folds on the inside, and to him they look like a little cross. So he named them cristae. I like to think that maybe he had a girlfriend named Cristae and he was trying to impress her. Say, hey, baby, I'm going to name you Cristae. I'm going to name this thing Cristae after you. So that way, science kids for all eternity will get that answer right on the exam. So, you know, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. And then there's this substance on the fluid on the inside, and it's just called the matrix. And in the matrix, you can lay backwards and let bullets fly past you like they do in the movie. Just kidding. But that's going to be the site of where some of this process happens. And the last thing that's on this diagram is strands of mitochondrial DNA. Mitochondria were once their own organism, so it was through the endosymbiotic theory that suggests that the first eukaryotic organism evolved as a process of two prokaryotes living together. Again, in science, we use evidence-based hypothesis and observable data in order to come up with these ideas, and this is the reason why. Your mitochondria reproduces when it wants to, not because you tell it to. Why? It's got its own DNA. It used to be its own separate organism. But anyway, that's in there. And by the way, it's maternal mitochondrial DNA. You get it from your mom. Why? Because the mitochondria from dad is in the tail of the base of the tail of the sperm to be able to make that little flagella flip, and only the top part of the sperm actually enters into the egg. The base of the tail and the tail is ejected before conception. So therefore none of dad's mitochondria makes it into the resulting offspring, so all of the mitochondria you have come from the egg, and that's why we call it maternal mitochondrial DNA. So where does the glycolysis take place? Glycolysis happens in the cytoplasm. It does not occur in the mitochondria, and that's going to be important for when we talk about fermentation, right? So then where does the citric acid cycle take place? That's going to be in the matrix, in this goo on the inside. All right. Then where does the ETC take place? It's going to take place on that inner membrane. So on this line here, this is where it's going to take place. So knowing that the matrix in the inner membrane space is going to be important, simple, like the lumen and the stroma was in the in photosynthesis. But this is kind of the idea of cell respiration. We're looking at this a little bit more as we get into the details.